Hey, Bambi. Well, here we are in the 2026 Honda CR-V Hybrid Trail Sport. It is a beautiful day to be filming this ash green CR-V. And let's get the specs out of the way really quick. Well, let's talk about pricing first. So the hybrid, or the sport hybrid, starts at about $49,000 Canadian. This starts at $50,000 Canadian and about $38,000 in the US. Now, in terms of the trims available on the hybrid, you have the Sport Hybrid, you have the Trail Sport Hybrid, then you have the EXL Hybrid and the Sport Touring Hybrid. In the US, it's pretty much the same, except our EXL is your L.
Now here in Canada, we only get the all-wheel drive hybrid setup, but in the US, you have a front-wheel drive variant available, and it's a little more fuel efficient. This CR-V hybrid is powered by a 2-liter Atkinson Cycle 4-cylinder engine with dual electric motors that makes 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque. And it's a very interesting powertrain, and we'll get into it later in this video.
All right, so Trail Sport specific things. The ash green color is only available on the Trail Sport. You've got Trail Sport badging on the front grille. You've got Trail Sport badging at the rear. You've got these cross-contact Continental all-terrain tires. So those are specific to this Trail Sport along with the wheels. And then, yeah, basically you've got Trail Sport stitching on the seats inside. And honestly, that's kind of it. There's absolutely no difference between this and another CR-V hybrid in terms of the all-wheel drive system, in terms of suspension. There is no extra ground clearance. You've got 8.2 inches of ground clearance, but all the CR-Vs have that. So yeah, it really comes down to these tires and some badging. Now, I did forget to mention one other thing that the Trail Sport comes with, and that's Trail Sport specific floor mats. But maybe you don't want the Trail Sport and you want some rugged, durable floor mats. Well, that's where today's sponsor comes in handy, 3W Autolife.
Now 3W utilizes injection molding to create their premium car floor mats. This manufacturing process allows them to achieve a perfect custom fit for each vehicle. So the fit is glove tight, the edges don't curl, and the mat doesn't warp when temperatures swing, which around here in Canada, they do. They're made from TPE, the same material used in baby pacifiers and toothbrushes, completely non-toxic and no rubber smell. These also come with carpets too, so that's neat.
And yes, these are super easy to clean. Just give them a rinse and you're good to go.
And with coverage for over 600 vehicles, 3W almost certainly makes a set for whatever you're driving. 3W Autolife's Prime Day floor mat sale will be running from June 23rd through June 26th. They'll be offering some of the biggest discounts of the year on custom fit floor mats, so check the links in the description and stay tuned for the upcoming deals.
When it comes to the overall design of the CR-V, I think it is probably one of the best looking ones in the segment. I do really like the CX-50, but you can't get the CX-50 in Canada anymore because of the tariffs, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, it's a great looking SUV. I love the daytime running lights. Those are LED lights up front, and then yeah, nice blacked out grille. You've got those cool design elements on the front that the hybrids get. They're more of a chrome finish on the Sport Touring, but I kind of like it better blacked out like that. And then yeah, you kind of got this fake skid plate at the front, but it looks good. So front end is fantastic, and then as you go down to the side, you've got blacked out side mirrors, blacked out trim, and blacked out roof rails. This one does have a sunroof and blacked out door handles, and you do have keyless entry on the front doors, but not on the rears. We have a nice blacked out spoiler, nice big rear view window, lots of visibility out the back. Got this all-wheel drive sticker, not a huge fan of that. But then as we move down, we've got LED tail lights, but the turn signals are not LED. You got your Trail Sport badging, CR-V hybrid, and then because this is a hybrid, you get the dual exhaust look, which is kind of funny. Usually on a hybrid, they try to hide the tailpipes. However, it is only a real tailpipe on the right, not real on the left. Towing capacity is 1,000 pounds on the hybrid and 1,500 on the non-hybrids. Well, it's definitely not like over the top, but I think it's a great design on the CR-V. How about you? What do you think? Well, 610 votes came in from both Instagram and YouTube, and 70% of you approved of the design on the CR-V Trail Sport. 20% lower than what you said with the CX-50 hybrid. You gave that about a 90%. So as the CX-50 wins this one. Anyways, I'm sitting in a 2026 Cadillac Vistiq, fully electric. This is a phantom blue interior, very fancy, very cool. If you want to see this video, make sure to subscribe. Let's head back to the CR-V Trail Sport. So welcome to the no fuss, very practical interior of the CR-V. Honda's really good at storage and just practicality. They don't mess around when it comes to that stuff, but they also don't like try to make anything look fancy. It's functional and it works. This is probably one of the most toned down interiors in the segment, but you see these everywhere, so people like that. We've got a 9-inch touchscreen in the middle here. This doesn't have Google built in, that's on the higher trim, but it does have wireless Apple CarPlay. It does have wireless Android Auto. There's not a whole lot you can do with the screen outside of that. So really, I just use CarPlay. We do have a 10.25-inch driver's display, and it does have different menus to look through. When you put it into lane keep, the CR-V pops up in the middle and it will show you your lanes to show you that you're staying in the center. It will show you other traffic around you too, which is kind of cool on the highway. It shows you when your battery power is on or when you're just driving in full EV, and it will show you at the left there off the screen how much battery charge you do have. We've got 4 different drive modes. We've got Sport, Normal, Econ, and Snow. I've been driving this mostly in economy just to try and get the best fuel economy possible. We have a really nice orange stitched steering wheel, so I'm assuming this is Trail Sport orange. We've got a heated steering wheel and they put that in a great spot. We do have heated seats. These are cloth seats. They're very comfortable. I've done a lot of highway driving and these have been great. Now the seats are powered on the driver's side and you do have lumbar support. You don't have any power on the passenger seat and you can't raise it or lower it either, which is kind of frustrating in a $50,000 car. In the Trail Sport, you do get dual zone climate control. Really good practical physical HVAC controls. Everything is just straightforward. You're not gonna lose your mind over this. One thing I really gotta knock Honda on is the camera quality. It looks like it's straight out of the 90s. It's like, almost looks like a VHS tape. It's pretty bad quality. And on a Trail Sport, I would kind of expect a 360 camera at least, because if you are going to take this off-road, it is nice to see all around the vehicle with cameras, but yeah, anyways. The traditional shifter is nice, and then we have downhill assist and our drive mode button. 2 cup holders, and because Honda is amazing at storage, we have a really deep center console. I really like that Honda makes their wireless chargers grippy, so if you don't have a phone case on your phone because you're crazy like me, your phone doesn't fly around. Now the sound system's not so great. I was in a Mazda 3 manual last week with that Bose premium sound system and it sounded fantastic. I got into this afterwards and I was like, whoa, this is not so great sounding. So sound system's not the greatest, but the door panels have lots of storage. They're not the most expensive feeling doors you'll ever see, but it's all durable. This is kind of the big play with Honda. It's durable. You're not really going to care too much about the interior in your CR-V. I've gotten along with this interior space. Very, very simple and easy to use. And I genuinely think that's why people love it so much. So this is super impressive. These doors open basically at a 90-degree angle. Super easy to get a child seat in here. Super easy to just get yourself in here. So when you hop in, it is fairly comfortable. You got lots of leg room. You got pretty good amount of headroom for someone 5'10". The sunroof makes it feel more airy for sure, because this is like all black in here. So sometimes I can make it feel a little bit tight, but no, it is pretty nice in the back. We can recline these seats. You just have to pull this tab here, so it's not the most graceful. We've got cup holders. We've got 2 USB-Cs. We have airflow in the middle, so that is nice. Yeah, it's pretty standard. Nothing crazy. Now you actually get a lot of cargo space in the CR-V. 36.3 cubic feet with the seats up, and then 76.5 with the seats folded down. Now unfortunately, because this is a hybrid, the battery is right here, so you don't get a spare tire. All right, away we go in our CR-V Hybrid Trail Sport. First thing you probably want to know would be how quiet is the cabin, because this has all-terrain tires, and sometimes all-terrain tires can be kind of loud. These tires are not loud. They haven't bugged me once this entire week. Now, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is a 2-liter 4-cylinder paired with dual electric motors, and it makes 204 horsepower, 247 pound-feet of torque. But this powertrain operates in 3 different ways: EV drive, hybrid drive, and engine drive. At low speeds, the gas engine is off entirely, and the motor drives the wheels off the small 1.4 kilowatt-hour battery. This is where the car feels like it's an EV. Then you have hybrid drive, and this is what most people find weird. The 2-liter Atkinson cycle 4-cylinder spins a generator motor, and that electricity feeds the separate motor, which is the only thing actually turning the wheels. The engine has no mechanical connection to the road here. It's basically a gas-powered generator on wheels. This handles most acceleration in city driving when the battery alone isn't enough. Now at steady highway cruising, a lockup clutch physically connects the engine to the wheels through a single fixed gear ratio. This is because direct mechanical drive is more efficient than gas to electricity to motor conversion, especially at those speeds. Does the car feel quick? From a start, it actually feels pretty good, and it feels really good around town. Where I notice it feeling maybe a little bit slow would be on the highway when you're trying to do like a lane pass. But for the most part, the power is great and totally fine for this segment. Now, I've been trying to get really good fuel economy all week, so I've been driving this in eco mode, and I have this in B mode. So there's drive and then B. Basically, B is for regen braking, and you can set your different regen braking levels. Now, when you're in regular drive mode, you can use the paddle shifters to do regen braking, but the minute you start going after a stop, your stuff kind of resets. So if you want to keep it on at all times, you throw this into B, and you can adjust your regen braking levels, and I have it at full. When you let go of the gas, it's not really that insane. The regen in this hybrid is not going to make you motion sick like maybe regen braking in an electric car does. It's very intense and aggressive. This, you let off the gas, it's very smooth. It's not going to bring you to a full stop. And when I drive this, I always put it in B and put it to max regen, and nobody's gotten motion sick this week. Whereas in EVs, find passengers don't always love the feeling of the jerkiness of one pedal driving. So the big question is fuel economy. What am I getting? Well, Honda says you should get around 6 to 6.9 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's pretty accurate. I've been driving on the highway a lot this week, so 7.3 liters per 100 kilometers is what I'm getting. But if I was driving in the city a little more, this would definitely be doing better. But I just haven't driven in the city that much. It's been a lot of highway driving. I do notice when I'm driving around in the city, I can get in the 6s. The ride quality is good. We've got multi-link rear suspension. Most of the cars in this segment do, aside from like the CX-50. You can't even get the CX-50 hybrid in Canada anymore because of the tariffs and stuff like that. So you can knock that one off your list if you're looking at vehicles, unless you buy it used, of course. But I don't even know if it was out long enough for there to be used ones in Canada. Visibility around the car is great. I would say the class leader in visibility in this segment would be the Forester. Now, Forester has kind of an annoying touchscreen, so I would still probably prefer the CR-V over the Forester, but that thing is like a greenhouse. The windows are huge and you can see everywhere. Now, with that said, visibility in the CR-V is really good, and honestly, the blind spot's barely there, and you have blind spot indicators, so really, it's all good. The steering feel is pretty nice. I don't really notice a difference between the steering in Eco, Sport, or Normal. It's a good weight. It's not super heavy, it's not super light, and the turn-in feels pretty darn good. Now it's nice and quiet in this cabin. The only thing I sometimes hear is the screen rattle a little bit. Not rattle, it like cracks. It's like cracks when you touch it sometimes. So that's a thing with these Honda screens. The screen in the Passport was good, it didn't do this, but I've just noticed in the Civic it was kind of like this too. Yeah, it actually takes corners pretty good. Feels pretty light and nimble on its feet. So Honda has a pretty good lane keeping system. I have it on right now. You don't have to have adaptive cruise control on to make it work. So here we go. I'll touch the steering wheel because it does ask you to touch it every once in a while. But let's see how it handles the bend here. It's doing a good job. And I want to see how it does the intersection with no line. Okay, so you got to get back on the steering wheel. So there, it's back on. Yeah, it's a really good assistant, but don't rely on it. On the highway, it's a lot better, obviously, but on these roads where the lines aren't as defined, you still want to have your hands on the steering wheel and be actively steering the car. All right, so pretty good bend in the road, and it is working well. Well, Honda's definitely done something right, because every time I go out, I see 1,000 of these CR-Vs everywhere. They're very popular, people really like them. It's a great looking SUV. You get pretty good fuel economy, maybe not as good as a RAV4, but hey, you can actually buy one of these things. RAV4s are pretty hard to come by, it seems like, at least in Canada. Most of the allocations seem to go to the US. There's always a real shortage here in Canada. So this is a pretty refined hybrid powertrain. It's not very loud or bad sounding. It's good. And the transition between EV and then back to gas, no problem. And that does come down to the fact that the engine is really just acting as a generator. Really, the only major negatives I have would be the reverse camera is pretty terrible quality. The sound of reversing is kind of loud. Like every time I do it in my neighborhood, someone's head perks up. But really, that's about the only major dislikes I have with this car. It's obviously not overly flashy or fancy, but it works. And I think that's what a lot of people appreciate about Honda, is that the interior is no fuss. It just works. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.